Greetings and welcome to this beginner's guide for Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood for the Samurai class. Yes, this is the second to last class that I need to do. With this, the only thing left is Red Mage now, and that one will take another couple weeks. After all, it is basically Christmas right now, and it is still at level 50. In fact, I don't think I've even grabbed it yet. If I check out over my classes here, yeah, I haven't even grabbed it. So yeah, that's going to be another couple weeks. But anyway, this is about the Samurai and everything about it. Well, not everything, but everything you need to know to get started and be a decent player with it. So without further ado, let's go into the abilities, shall we? No, not those. Here we go. Now, the Samurai is best described as a low skill floor, high skill ceiling class. And what they mean by that is that it's very easy to understand the basics of it, how to deal damage, how to do your basic combos, and all that sorts of stuff. But dealing maximum damage all the time is extremely difficult because you need to have your priorities straight, know what to do when, and I think that really is about it. There is a technically quote-unquote perfect maximum damage opener. From what I found, there are two technically, but honestly, looking at what I'm about to show you right now, this image I found online, it is extremely detailed. It basically goes over everything, but the only part we want or are interested in is this right here, the, what's it called, bread and butter general rotation opening damage, whatever it is. But we'll go over that in a little bit. First, the abilities. So, the Samurai works on a combo system like most other melee classes, but the difference between this and the other classes is that one ability leads to three abilities, which leads to two again. So what do I mean by this? Well, if we look down here on my bar, we will see that the first ability here is Hakase. And now, the additional effect, which increases Kenki Gach by 5, it does not happen until you reach level 62, right here. As you can see, it increases Kenki Gach when landing all weapon skills. Until then, it only increases with select weapon skills, so ignore that if you're just leveling up. Now, Hakase leads into three different abilities. Those being this Shifu, which reduces, it basically gives you a 10% haste. This is by far the most important one that you want to keep up all the time. And will increase the Kenki Gach once you reach there, and so on and so forth. As you can see, the combo potency is nothing to scoff at 280. Other than that, it'll only be 100, and you only get the combo bonus for the speed or our haste when you do it in a combo. The second one you can use is this Jinpu. Exact same thing, 280 combo bonus, only this one increases our damage dealt by 10% for 30 seconds. Also requires a combo to do that properly. And lastly, we have this Yukikaze. Now, as you can see, this one hits for 340 and reduces the target's slashing resistance by 10%. That part isn't as crucial because you do share the slashing resistance down with, I believe, the warrior and the ninja class as well. So keeping that up all the time should not be that important. And if you do not see it on the target, somebody else probably replaced your debuff with theirs. So that, now from there, we have two other abilities we can do. Because as you can see, that one, all the way on the bottom, which says combo bonus, it says grants Setsu. Now, Setsu is one of our three, I think, Sen Gach thing. I think that's what it's called. Yes, the Sen Gach. Now, as you can see, the Sen Gach has three separate symbols, and all of these symbols are acquired by performing three specific skills in their combo, respectively. So this one up here, which kind of looks like a snowflake, is done by this one. And oddly enough, the name has to do with snow, I think, and the effect of the ability itself also looks snow-like, so that's a way to remember it. The reason I have this at the very top is because it gives this one, which is also at the top. That's an easy way to remember that. Now, the other two abilities are this Kasha, which hits for 400, which is definitely not bad at all. It increases our Kenki Gach by 5 or 10 if you're at level 62. And you grant Ka. Now this one is this one right here. As you can see, this one looks kind of like a lotus flower. And if you look at the little symbol here, you can see the little lotus petals there appearing. And when you use the skill, you will also see lotus petals around the target. So that's another way to remember it. So this one is this one right here. And lastly, this one, Gecko. I'm not sure if it's pronounced like the gecko, like lizard, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. So, as you can see, another 400 increases Kenki Gach and grants Getsu, which is this one right here. Now, this one is by far the easiest to remember because this looks like a moon, and as you can see, the little symbol also has a moon on it. And when you hit with it, you will also see a moon. So Easy to remember, right? So Lotus Flowers, Moon, and Ice. That's going to fill up all three of them. Now, what are these three things for? Well, they are used to launch our AI Jutsu. Let's see. As you can see right there, executes a weapon skill depending on current number of Sen stored in the Sen Gauge, which are these, as we just went over. Now, with 1 you do Higanbana, with 2 it's the Tenkagoken, and 3 is the Midare Setsugeka? What? Anyway, they're over here. Now, let's go over those because these are extremely important. Now, the most important one is the 3-1, which we'll go over in a little bit. But first, the Higanbana, as you can see, there was an attack with a potency of 240, so not bad. And damage over time of a potency of 35 for 60 seconds. That is a very, very long time. Now, I do believe if things proc every 3 seconds, that is at least 20 procs of that potency. So that is definitely not bad. And the way to get that is if you use any of these 3 weapon skills that we just went over and only have 1, this ability will switch to that. So it's easy to know how many you have and what you're about to do. Second, the Tenkagoken. Now, this is our main AoE ability. Delivers an attack to all enemies in a cone in front of you with a potency of 360 for the first enemy, 10% less, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on and so forth, like most AoE skills in the game now. Now, the important part here is that the cone is actually very, very large. Now, looking at it, the character from up here, now, this is technically a 180 degree. The ability has about... It goes from over here to over here, so around 150 degree angle. So it's actually got a very nice wide angle for doing AoE damage. And lastly, Midare Setsugeka delivers an attack, with a potency of 720. Yes, 720 is a lot of damage. And once you start leveling the samurai, you're going to see how much damage that thing can inflict. At level 62, I managed to get a crit for around 20,000, and now that I'm level 70 and have decent gear, that thing alone without crits hits for around 20,000. So yes, that is extremely powerful and is probably the one you're going to want to use most of the time. However, we're not done yet. Back to our main abilities. Let's go up to the top, shall we? We've gone over that now. Actually, because they're a bit all over the place on here, because you technically get a bunch of stuff because you start here and you get all this, let's go back to my bar. Now, what else do we have? We have this, Meikyu Shisui. Now, this is very similar to... who has something similar to this? The Monk. This is basically the Monk's perfect balance, where, as you can see, execute up to 3 weapon skill combos without meeting combo requisites does not affect the Aijutsu. Now, what this means is that when we activate this, we're going to be able to use any of these 5 skills, which usually require a combo to do their maximum effectiveness without needing to be in the combo. So this is going to let us very quickly get all 3 of our Sen meters by spamming all 3 of these abilities, and to be able to use any Aijutsu once again. Now, Aijutsu is not affected by this, and basically you need to have Sengachi in order to use it. Now, what else do we have? Let's see, Hisatsu Kaiten. Now, this is extremely important. You get at level 52, which you will reach very quickly. As you can see, increases potency of next weapon skill by 50%, and it costs 10 Kenki Gauge. Now, what is the Kenki Gauge? That is the little sword bar over here. Now, as I mentioned earlier, in the beginning, before you reach level 62, only this one, and this one will increase that bar. And now, another way we can increase that bar is this, with Meditate. However, if you read carefully, it says, Kenki Gauge not affected when used outside of battle. Effect ends upon using another action or moving. Now, that is extremely important, including facing a different direction. So if I decide to start using it and even do this, it'll be interrupted. Cancels auto attack upon execution. Now, this gives us, I believe, a total of 60 of the Kenki Gauge if you stay there the entire 15 seconds. Now, I don't really use this very often. This is mostly used for when you are in a boss phase where you cannot actually hit the boss. Or if, say, you are waiting to take damage from something, and so you activate it so you can start filling up the bar. Very useful, but situational. Now, what else do we have? Let's go over our AoE combos, shall we? Because we do have those. First, Fuga. Delivers an attack with a potency of 100 to all enemies in the cone in front of you. Additional of, that's based on the level 62 passive, so you can kind of ignore that. And that's it. However, this leads it in 2 separate abilities which combo from it. First, Oka, and second, Mangetsu. As you can see, they are basically identical. The only difference being that one gives us Getsu, which is this one here, and the other gives us Oka, which is this one here. Hey, I'm right. No, Ka, there we go, yeah, Ka and Getsu. Now, the reason this is important is because, as we went over in our AI Jutsu thingamajig, with two symbols, we can use Tenkagoken, which is our, technically, second or third most powerful AoE ability. Now, the important part is that because it is a weapon skill, we can use this, Hisatsu Kaiten, to increase its potency by 50%, making it very, very powerful. However, spamming that is going to make your TP run out very, very quickly. After around 20 seconds of spamming this, one into the other, then going into this and into this, you're going to run out of TP very, very quickly. So hopefully you have a bard friend with you, or if you're like me, you picked up Invigorate to last a little bit longer. Not very much, but useful. Now, what else do we have? Let's see, what else is useful? Oh, yes. We also have Third Eye, which is very weird when you get it at low levels. As you can see, reduce the amount of damage taken by the next attack by 5%, but it only lasts 3 seconds. An additional effect, it grants Open Eyes when hit, and that lasts 15 seconds. Now, what is Open Eyes? Now, Open Eyes is a little buff that we get that's going to let us use one of two abilities. Now, the first which you're going to get eventually or quickly is called Merciful Eyes. As you can see, instantly restores own HP and cure potency of 200. Cure potency varies with current attack power, can only be executed while under the effect of Open Eyes, and ensures a customer with Hisatsu Seigan. Now, as you can see, this is a very small here, right? For me, I think it's between 1500 and 2000 healing. Really not much, but it's something. Now, the other ability it mentions, let's see, it's Hisatsu Seigan, is this one right here, right below it. Now, as you can see, it delivers an attack with a potency of 200. However, this one actually costs Kenki Gauge over here. So instead of using TP, it uses this. Now, it can only be executed while on the effect of Open Eyes, which is obvious because of what we're looking at, and strike a weakest timer with Merciful Eyes. So if you're about to eat a boss's big AoE damage, you obviously want to time your Third Eye as closely as possible to it so that you can either heal, or do a little bit more damage. Now, using this can be risky if your Kenki Gauge is not at around 50%, because one of our abilities, well, we actually have several abilities that require the Kenki Gauge, which we are about to get to actually. But those are the most complex part of the rotation that we're going to go over later. Now, those abilities are the first one that we get, well, obviously this one, the one that increases the potency, it costs 20, as you can see. So at level 70, one full rotation of this into this will allow it to use that. But it's still not enough because we also want to use some other things. Now, the other one we get is Hisatsu Shinten, which is a attack with a potency of 300, which isn't bad, but it costs 25. However, if this is full, because the boss just landed, you might want to consider spamming all 4 of them very, very quickly, because you can do a lot of damage with it. Now, lastly, I think, lastly, here we go. Hisatsu Guren. This is our level 70 ability. Delivers an attack to all enemies in a straight line before you with a potency of 800. I do believe that is the hardest hitting ability in terms of potency in the game that isn't a limit break. I'm pretty confident in that. And this is the thing that hits for around 20,000. This thing hits very, very hard. But it does do a little bit less damage to consecutive enemies, but this is very crucial for normal and AoE damage. For obvious reasons, right? It deals damage in a straight line, hits everybody, hits very, very hard. So yeah. So what abilities are we missing? Ah yes, our final AoE ability is this, Hisatsu Kyuten. Delivers an attack with a potency of 150 only to all nearby enemies. Now this can be useful if your Kenki Bot is full and you want to finish it relatively quickly. Because during the AoE rotation that we are doing, which is from this to this to this to get our 2 Sengach, and then this into the AoE one, into Tenkagoten, we will slowly start building up surplus Kenki Gauge. So when you have surplus and you finish this into this and still have a little bit left over, consider using one of these in between to increase your damage. Are we missing anything? Hagakure. Now, this is very important, especially during the DPS opener that I found on the internet, and it makes sense. Converts your Setsu, Getsu, and Ka, which are your R3 Sengach over here, Into Kenki, each Sen converted increases your Kenki gauge by 20. So if you have 3 of them, you can instantly get 60 Kenki gauge. Can only be executed if under the effect of at least one of the 3 statuses, obviously. So this is a way to quickly get Kenki gauge, and so you can quickly use this if it just came off cooldown. Now, this is definitely your highest priority for obvious reasons. An 800 potency attack, you definitely want to cast this as quickly as possible. Now, what are we missing? Well, yes, we have basically an execute just like the ninja, just like the bard, exactly the same thing. Only this one increases the Kenki gauge by 10, or 30 if it kills it. And lastly, we have, let's see, this. Hitatsu Yaten. There was an attack with 100 potency, and it also knocks you back 10 yards. It grants enhanced MP, which we'll go over right now, and increases, it costs Kenki gauge of, well, 10 Kenki gauge, and cannot be executed while bound. Now, this is basically a 10-yard backdash to avoid boss AoEs. Very useful, but this will interrupt your rotation because you're no longer in range. However, it does grant you empowered MP, which is this. Now, there was in a range attack with a potency of 100, enhanced MP bonus potency, which is 300. So I do believe it goes up to 400 potency if you do it right after your backdash. So it's backdash, you go back, and then you use that. It doesn't flow extremely easily because this will probably have still a half-second cooldown from your other weapon skills that you were doing before you backdash. And this will interrupt your weapon skill combos over here. So be careful about this one. And then we also have this, Hitatsu Gyoten. Rushes a target and delivers an attack with a potency of 100, so it's basically a dash with a little bit of damage. So the general combo of we are about to get hit by a small AoE, it's dash back, slash at it from range, and then dash back in. So that has a total cost of 20 Kenki gauge. Yes, only, well, technically 10, because 10, it goes down to 0, this gives you 10, and then this uses it up again. So yes, that is that. And I do believe that is all the ninja abilities, so there really aren't that many. So let's put them into perspective and actually do the combos, shall we? So as I told you at the beginning of the video, these 3 abilities look like the symbols that they represent. So this one is going to have a bunch of cherry blossoms around it. However, pay attention to the side combo bonus. As you can see, it doesn't increase the damage, but increases the Kenki gauge you get by 5. Now, when you first go into Samurai class, this, and this are the only abilities you have that give you Kenki gauge, which is important. However, the one that you get at low levels is the rear combo and the side combo bonuses. So if you don't actually do it properly in Palace of the Dead, you will rarely have any Kenki gauge in order to abuse your Hitatsu Kaiten. So, that is your basic ability. Pretty boring. Then we go into this, which gives us the haste, and here we go into Kasha. As you can see, a bunch of cherry blossoms. It looks like a cherry flower. Well, cherry blossom flower, doesn't it? Now, we go into this one. This gives us 10% it has damage, and we go into the moon. As you can see. Simple to remember, right? And then lastly, we go straight into Yukikaze, which is ice. As you can see, so flower, moon, and ice. Flower, moon, and ice. Easy to remember. Now with these, we can actually now do our most powerful attack, which is this. But as you can see, just by doing those, we got enough to use this. So how about I show you how hard this thing can hit, shall we? Let's use it once to see the 720 potency by itself. So that was 9,794. So let's charge up again. And then once we actually do this and keep our buffs up and put the debuff back on them. There we go, one more. Here we go, ready? Let's see how hard it hits now. 21,000. So yeah, very, very hard hitting ability, and that wasn't even a crit. Now, what else do we have? How about our other hardest hitting ability, which is this? Let's see how hard this hits, shall we? 12,000 only. Very interesting. 100 for the first enemy, I would expect this to hit a lot harder, but it hit a lot softer than that. Did it lose its debuff over here? Okay, now, while we're here, let's use Meditate to show you how that works, shall we? This is your stance, and let's see. So it seems to go up by 10 around every 4 seconds-ish. There we go. Unfortunately, this thing has a 2-minute cooldown, which is kind of unfortunate. Now, let's go over the other combo. Let's go over our AoE combo, shall we? So it sounds like that. And then these two are around you. So you want to walk into the mobs and do it like that. Then you walk back out, do it again, walk back in, and do it again. And remember that these two grant you these two here. This puts you ready so you can use the AoE one, which we can't use at the moment. So let's burn it. There we go. So use one, go in, make sure you hit them. Do the second one around you, and now we're ready to use this. So let's use it once to see how hard it normally hits. For around 3,000. So let's charge up yet again, but let's do it quickly by doing this. There we go. Now let's use it with this and see how hard it hits. 6,000 and 8,000 on a... I think that wasn't a crit, that was a direct hit, which is something new in Stormblood. But as you can see, the zone was actually pretty decent, so it was like around here and here. And it does have a very decent range because they hit him all the way over there. So hitting people with it, or hitting things with it in a big pool, not too difficult. Now let's look at this thing, this small AoE that we have. This is actually a very quick AoE, so ready? So yeah, very fancy, but it only hits for 150, but it's something, right? Now, are we missing anything? Let's see. Oh yeah, the backdash into that. So let's try that now, shall we? Because we're in combat, we can actually do this. No, that wasn't it. There we go. Meditate. It does take a little bit to charge us, but now that we have 10, I can actually show you the backdash. Ready? So it's backdash into the long range slash, which is empowered because of this, into the dash in. So here comes the boss AoE. Backdash. Do that, and back in. So very easy, right? It's very intuitive, and if you put them next to each other on the same button row, it'll be very easy to actually do. Are we missing anything? Well, because these dummies don't actually attack, I can't show you third eye or the counter or the heal. But I do believe that is pretty much anything. Everything. So let's show you Hagakure. So let's get one. There we go. Now let's turn that into some Kenki gods, shall we? There we go. A little fancy, but that's really all it does. So all that put into consideration, what are our priorities? Well, as we just went over, this is our priority because it's the hardest hitting ability. So let's try casting it against this thing now that it's weak to slashing. 19,000 on a critical. I am very confused. I thought it would have hit a lot harder. Let's see how hard our 3 Sen ability will hit on the same target. So do it this. So let's not empower it, and 10,000. So yeah, it is hitting a lot harder. Except I think for some reason criticals are not hitting as hard as I thought they would. What is our critical hit? I have no point of comparison for that. But yeah, as you can see, the samurai is very intuitive. However, as we went over at the beginning of the video, dealing maximum damage with this is not. So what are our priorities? Well, give me a second, and while I open the little image I have over here. Let's see, where are you? Go over here, go to downloads. Where are you? Here you are. Here we go. Okay. So, let's see, the base priority chain according to this thing is the most important buff you want is Shifu because it makes you do everything 10% faster. Makes sense. From that, you want to keep this, and then this is the last one because it's not as important because as we went over, 2 other classes apply it. Now, what are, let's see, what is our priority on usage of our Kenki bar? Hold on, give me a second here. Okay, let's see. Sen Abilities, Kenki Abilities. Here we go. Base Kenki priority. Okay, so the most important one is this. Increasing all of our weapon skills potency by 50%. Very powerful. From that, the next priority is this, because it hits very hard. From there, we go into this because it hits for 200. From there, we go into... Oh yeah, I didn't go over this one, did I? Points shift 300 and it's very quick. So, and it has a 1 turn recast timer. It goes like this. Very, very kind of fancy-ish. So, priority 1, priority 2, priority 3 because it only costs 15, and priority 4 because it costs us 10 extra Kenki for an extra 150. No, an extra 100. After that, it's basically this, and lastly backdash, and lastly dash in. So basically, you're just focus on making sure you always have enough to use this on your AI Jutsu. If this is up, make sure you cast it and keep it on cooldown. And then if you're working on getting the Sen to use this, and this is on cooldown, use it on this. That's generally what I'm getting from this. And now to the fun part, yay, the opener. Now, according to this image that I'll hopefully put a link to it in the description, there are 2 openers. There's a 1 cent opener, but according to him, this is only useful if you have greater than or equal to skill speed of 965. What do I have? As you can see, you need to focus a lot on skill speed, but on the other side, I have 0 material on all this armor. So we're going to stick with the bread and butter standard opener, which he also talks about. Now, in the beginning, I was having a little trouble getting the hang of it, but now that I've done it a few times and even tried it in a dungeon, it's not that hard. And don't worry about the music cutting out. That was me making the image on my other screen a lot bigger. Now, let's go over it. So, the first path is 1, 2, 3 to get a Sengach to get your speed debuff and to get some Kenki bar. Actually, let's get away from it so that we start at 0 so that I can actually show you how much you get and how it works. We're always... Come on, let me switch. There we go. There we go. Everything is at 0. Okay. So start from this. And then we are going to work our way from here, here, and here to get our second Sen, to get more Kenki bar, and to increase our damage by 10%. Now, while our weapon skills are on cooldown, we are going to activate this, and we are going to use one of these. That's because we don't want to have too much excess Kenki gauge. And what we are about to do is we want to cast this as quickly as possible without having too much extra Kenki gauge lying around. We also want to apply our 1 Sengach dot, which is this, empowered by this. So we need at least 30, so we need at least 20 for that. And then we also want to do some other useful things. So how does it go? So we just go this like this and then activate this and this. Then because this is already active, we don't need this to cast this. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Activate, use once, and then we can use this straight away. This gives us a total of 3 Sen. However, because we use this once, we don't have as much as we need. So we are going to use this to transform all of that into 60 Sen, well, into 60 Kenki gauge, and then use this instantly. Remember, this casts very quickly. Now, after that, we are going to use this once. This will give us 1 Sen, and just enough, and we are going to have just enough Kenki gauge left over to use one of these and apply our AI Jutsu damage over time empowered. Then after that, we're going to use another one of these to get more Kenki and more Sen. We're going to use another one of these because we're going to have too much Kenki gauge. And from that point, we are going to do 1, 2, 3, another one. Excuse me. And then we are going to do 1, 2 because this already ran out, so we need this into this. And because we have 1 left over from this, we are going to be able to do the 3 Sen ability, Midare Setsugeka here, which is our technically second hardest hitting ability. Does that sound confusing? Yes, it is very confusing, and hopefully I remember to put this on while I'm explaining it. So, let's attempt it, shall we? Now remember, we need to start from the side and then move to the rear so that this and this gives us the extra 5 Kenki bar we need. Now, if I'm honest, after you apply the dot, you can pretty much go into a regular priority rotation. And if I'm honest, I have tried to pull this off in raids and against bosses, but it is very difficult because many bosses and raids, well, today, tend to move a lot very early in the fights. And usually you're dodging, you're running for your life, or you're trying to get killed. So making it a complete rotation is very, very difficult. So don't be discouraged if you cannot do it. Just remember your priorities. So, let us try. So here we go. Let's try this. Now it starts very calmly here. then this, and then get ready for the complex part. Transform it, use that. And I messed up already. So I already messed up because I used this with the first one of these instead of this. So that is going to be a problem now. So I'm going to have to wait a couple of minutes now and reset everything so I can try and do it properly. And this is why it was taking me so long to learn it. It's not the first part. It's after you trigger this and get your final Sen, you transform it. You use this instantly. And this is where I get confused because I always use this first for some reason instead of this. So it's once you do this, grab another Sen with this, and then use the dot. After that, it's really just get another, and then it's 1, 2, 3, and another. That's really what it comes down to. And then always use this to empower your 3-1. So let's reset this. There we go. I'll reset. Except for the very long duration cooldown on that thing, which is a little annoying, honestly. Okay, so I'll be back in a few seconds. Okay, we are back. Okay, it's almost it. So let's get started again. Start on the side to ensure we can get 10 Kenki from this, then into this. And it's this, into this, into this. Transform it, use that. Get this, into this, into this, into this. Managed to get it, excellent. Use it again, there we go. I think I managed to do it. And then into this. Into this. Success! It wasn't perfect because I did slow down because I was looking at the image again right after to make sure I did everything properly. But yeah, that was the complete, what he is calling the 3 Sen opener. Basically, 3 Sen gauge. To get this going and everything, according to him. Now, there is another one, but from what I'm reading, it's... According to him, in order for the other one to be a lot more useful than this one, the phase that you are going to use it in needs to last around 3 minutes. And honestly, I don't know any boss that sits still for 3 minutes. And where you can also sit still for 3 minutes. So yeah, that is the general opener. Now, let's try it again in a few seconds, one more time, to make sure we actually have it down. Okay, here we go. Ready? One more time. And here we go. Start from the side. To ensure that our third ability gives us maximum Kenki. Then go to the back for the exact same thing. And I screwed up there already. Oh, right. Okay, so I screwed up there because I think after the dot, okay, I did this into this, I did that right, but from there I went from here to here instead of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I could have recovered and just gone from here to here and done the 3 Sen ability, but you get the idea. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I've been trying to do this on bosses, and it is very difficult with the boss turning around and doing abilities. And sometimes you have the Kenki you need for the abilities, sometimes you don't. Sometimes they decide to sit still for a long time, and most of the time they don't. So yeah. Hopefully you can look at the one I did earlier, which was perfect. I think, hopefully. I'm going to wait here and do another one. And hopefully you actually find it useful. Now, if you can actually piece together the rest of the data on this image that I'm providing for you, which is extremely detailed on pretty much everything. So a very nice job on that person. There's also something called a boxer opener, which I have no idea. I'm not even going to bother. So yeah, let's see, 35 seconds, just about enough time. Let's get away from it to reset the battle. There we go. There we go. Okay, final try. Let's get it going. Let's wait until we're down to 10 seconds to make sure it's off cooldown by the time we're going to do it. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay, now from the back. Okay, here comes the hectic part. And more of those, and then it's this. Now we weave one of those in there, supposedly, and we are missing 5. So again, it wasn't perfect, but that is generally what you're going to be doing as a samurai starting a fight. So remember, keep your Higambana open at all times because it is extremely powerful, especially when empowered. Make sure this is always on cooldown. It's your hardest hitting ability. Outside of that, you want to try and weave this in between your abilities as often as possible, without completely depleting your Kenki gauge. And other than that, I think that really is it for the samurai, if we're honest. Let's get away from the battle because music is kind of iffy. There we go. Okay. So yeah, the samurai. Relatively easy to understand, but as you can see, dealing maximum damage in an opener is very complex and honestly very difficult considering bosses move a lot these days. So yeah, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time for more than probably the Red Mage, although that probably won't be till January, considering holidays and everything else, and I need a couple weeks to level it up to max level and understand it. But from what I heard from a friend, which did level up a samurai, it's basically a reactionary class, very similar to the, what was it, Machinist? Was it? That was very similar to that way. Anyway, later.